there.
Well, just because like there's this idea that like black men, we just have to like and black people. This I'll be clear. This is not just a black male thing, but black people that we just have to just push through everything.
Yes.
We gotta just struggle through it all, and it's like not really though. Like not really. You actually don't, and it's okay. You know, it's okay. It's okay to say you know what, this is unreasonable, and I'm not going to subject myself to this abuse. Like it's okay.
Hello and welcome to the Bold Black Girls podcast. I'm Aries.
And I am Kim.
And this is our final episode in our series celebrating Black men. And we have the wonderful Zach Nunn of Living Corporate. Woo! He got all the things going on. So I know we should have brought your sound effects. You know, he's good.
I got him.
He said I got him.
Don't play.
Okay. Zach, we're so glad to have you. I mean, I just got through telling them, I said, you know, that Zach was one of the first people that wrote a review on Bold Black Girls podcast. And, you know, we're about to hit our
100th
episode in 2 weeks. And so we'll be having you record a little video to give us some words of encouragement to be on that episode. But
absolutely.
Yeah. So and he had put in there, Zach, and like he put it in there, Living Corporate. So I was like, now I know who it is. So I had to go look. And I was like, that was actually good marketing too. Because I went and was like, what's Living Corporate? And then
good branding and marketing.
Welcome to the Bold Black Girls podcast.
We're happy to have you.
Well, first of all, it's an honor to be here because, you know, Black women don't owe no space to nobody. So the fact that you would be so generous, which follows the meta narrative of Black women just giving y'all don't owe us a thing. So thank you. It's an honor to be here. I'm excited to be here, excited to talk to y'all.
Love it. We really, you know, this series has been really cool. Like just bringing dudes that we like to be around. We like to hear y'all talk. We know y'all amplify Black women and kind of changing the narrative around what we have been seeing in social media with us kind of people pitting us against each other and really want to show like
gender wars.
Right. It ain't like that where we're at. So really sharing that.
Well, I do have to ask Zach one question, maybe two. So I've asked all the great men this question. Who are you discipling, and do you have a brother, uncle, cousin, or somebody?
What a question. I love that. Who am I discipling? You know, that's a very
things, you know, you need to be giving that back to somebody else.
Yeah, y'all must be church talking about discipling. But yeah, I like that. I appreciate
not mentoring. Huh?
Yeah, not meant to who you discipling. I like that. You know, it's interesting. My discipleship game has been weak. I have a couple of friends and people that I talk to, and Living Corporate grows every day. We have some folks that are coming on. Shout out to Justin Blyden, who's joining the team. I'm sure we'll talk about Living Corporate as a network later. But there's plenty of opportunity for me to do more. I will say, I wouldn't say that I would say it's like a mutual discipleship, and it's more like encouragement and brotherhood. I'm working with Rich Jones with Paychecks and Balances. Like he and I, we've been developing a relationship over the past, you know, roughly, I'd say a year or so. Great guy. I'm a huge fan. And we have a really good relationship. Another person, I'll say two more, is Antoine Andrews, who's the Chief Diversity Officer at Memento, formerly SurveyMonkey. Yeah. And then also Danny at Dropbox. He's like the Chief Diversity Officer over there. Those are two great men. So been able to build really good relationships with them in the DEI space. They're also executives. And they're also Black men. So it's rare to find those combinations. And so it's been good. And then you said uncles? All of my uncles are like...
I was kidding.
He gonna say the same thing. No, let him answer this because I want to see if he say the same thing as...
All of my uncles are like... I'm trying to think. Like my uncles are older.
She like old man. She like them with gray hair.
Oh, you like that?
Hint of gray.
A hint.
A touch of gray, huh?
Touch.
I'm trying to think.
That's that wisdom.
Well, so that's it's throwing me off because I forgot. Like you're not like 27. I really thought you were like
young still.
Right. So right. So I'm trying to think. I have a couple. I'm trying to think of it. I have some single uncles.
Okay, all right. We'll talk after the episode.
Yeah, we'll connect.
Discipling, you connect the networks. You meet somebody. You never know.
You never know. You got to put it out there.
I respect it. I hear you.
You got to put it out there.
That's being bold, right? And we're bold black girls.
I love it. I'm here for it.
Listen, yes. So let's let you give a proper intro, kind of who you are, what you do. Give us kind of the 30 second.
30 seconds. Yeah, listen, my name is Zach Nunn. I'm focused on centering and amplifying Black and brown people at work. I believe we live in a white supremacist, capitalist, and patriarchal society that needs to be dismantled. And so how I choose to engage that work is by creating digital media that really just tells our stories and challenges these oppressive systems and helps us reimagine new systems.
I love it. Look, I love it.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So that is, y'all see why we got him on here, right? I want to kind of back up a little bit because all of that came from somewhere.
Exactly.
So we were going to first talk about you are a new dad. You have a 15-month daughter named Emery, who is gorgeous. Talk to us, let's talk first about just kind of how was Father's Day, how your life has changed with a daughter since before.
Yeah, so Father's Day was great. I think really like my wife is so great because every day feels like some Father's Day because I feel like really celebrated and respected, what I'm saying, at home, right? So like, I'm thankful for the system that we've created in our house where and I'm just thankful that we jointly raised Emery. So, we're together. Like we're all like I'm engaged, right? Like she's changing diapers, I'm changing diapers, I'm picking up, she's picking up things. So Emery, she gravitates towards me just like not as much as she gravitates towards her mom because there's no way. Like I did not carry Emery for 9 months, so it's not going to be exactly the same. But the affection and everything, like we have a good time. So, but my Father's Day specifically was great. We were able just chill, like keep it chill. I'm like a fairly like low key dude. I have a big personality and like I can have fun and I make jokes and stuff. But like I'm like a homebody. I'm super chill. I don't really like do a lot. Like I just kind of like I have very low. What's the word? I'm very low maintenance. Right. So a great day for me is like, man, we had some really cold watermelon that we cut open and it was delicious. Then we watched some anime. And then we just talked. Okay. And then we talked a lot about just like we talked about Emery and we talked about, like what we're excited about with her. We just talked about our family. Like I'm very simple, right? Like it don't take a lot for me. So she got me this. My wife got me this board, and it's like it says count your blessings, and it's all these pictures of me and Emery from when she was born to just last week, and it's like her laying on me or us like playing somewhere or her laughing, and so that was cool because so it's easy to forget that this person is changing constantly. So you look back like, dang, you was 1 month old. Wow, you weren't walking at one point. Wow, you used to just be on my chest all the time. So it was cool though. It's a blessing.
So from before Emery was born, how has things changed in that?
So first off, it's wild because you don't realize how much time you have until you become a parent. It's like, dang, what did I do? Like, what did I do with all this time? I was doing living corporate, but still, like, it's shocking. Like, man, I can't imagine. Like, you're tired, all the time. Like, it's just, I think, but like simply put, I think that parenthood is just that this your time isn't your own anymore. Like you really have to factor in
another person,
a whole nother person who's fully dependent on you all day. And so that's different. That's like really the main. And then, you just have to be more judicious with your time because you don't have the same time to kind of like ways to just kind of like jerk around. Like, you have to really like be like, look, I got this, and I'm gonna budget this and this and this, and then when that time is up, you got to stop because
Yes.
she's dependent on you. You know,
Truly advocating your time.
Yeah. And you have a daughter. So, you know, that's a unique relationship that is really cool. I was just listening to Bold Black Girls. Therapy for Black Girls episode about daughters with their fathers, like the relationship and things. I'm really close to my dad. And so having an engaged dad, Kim, she was close to her dad as well. So it matters to a girl, you know, it really shapes how you see men. It shapes what your standard is just going into the world, you know, by this relationship. So
it's crazy
thing there.
It's crazy because I was thinking about it, and I'm gonna try. So like, because I've had conversations with some people, and I'm like, man, like, you know, my biggest fear is I don't want to be the trauma. I do not want to be the trauma that Emery carries throughout her life because of whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes so of course, yes, love, support everybody that's Black, certainly Black women. Like y'all get all the love and support. I've also had exchanges with certain people that I'm like, man, like, and they would tell me, they'd be transparent, like, look, I'm carrying traumas from a father, you know, a relationship from my dad. You know, I'm not carrying this trauma. And I'm like, man, I just don't want to be that person that creates trauma that Emery has to hold. And then when other people engage with her, they're like, yo, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you, like, I didn't do anything to you. Like, why are you treating me like this? Why are you so upset? You know, I appreciate y'all for saying that, because my intention is to be here so that I can at least, you know, I give her, you know, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of just like her being a presence in her life. Sure.
Yeah. Wow. That is amazing. And you're very aware emotionally and socially as well. So, Zach, tell us a little bit about what you do professionally. You're doing so many things. You're a new father. We're going to get more into living corporate, but let's talk about the professional, Zach.
How did it start?
Yeah, how did it start? Yeah, I mean, so my background, I've always been like passionate about people. Like, I've always wanted to like connect with people. So before I started my formal career post college in HR, I really started as a music education major. Because I got a music scholarship because I was one of the best tuba players in Texas. And so, yeah, so I played orchestral tuba. I did music arrangement. And so just very passionate about like, just, it's the people element for me. So anyway, I transitioned from music because I met my wife in college. I was like, I'm not trying to be a band director. I gotta make some money. So I wanted to get married and buy my wife a house. Right. So I was like, I can't do this. So I stopped. Like I quit music altogether, got into, I was like, what can I do to like help people? And so I changed my major to applied business, got an HR job at Target. Target was washed. Was not fun. Retail is for the birds because everything is on a planogram. You can't really do a lot of creative stuff because it's like, oh no, you just got to follow the handbook, the manual. It's like, okay, I mean, y'all don't really need me for this. Like, so anyway, I was there for like 8 months.
Wow.
My boss was awful. The worst boss of all time, easily. I hope she's listening. You're terrible. Don't.
I just love her name out.
Be extra messy. No. So, but she was the worst, like truly. And she ended up getting fired a couple months after I quit, and she hasn't worked again because she white, so her husband make a bunch of money, so she just can sit home and sip tea all day like Miss Kennedy or something. Okay. So anyway, quit that job, got into oil and gas, and that's when I was doing like org design, change management, training, communications. And it was just way more flexible. So I was a contractor in that role, right? So, as y'all probably know, Black folks, typically when you think about like contract roles, we make up the majority of them contract roles. We don't typically get on full time with benefits and stuff. But it didn't matter for me because I was making like $66,000 a year, which was a crazy amount of money at the time. Yo, I thought I was making $1 million with that $66,000.
I'm with
We
you.
have
I thought
stories.
I thought that I was never gonna see that much money again, like $60,000. So I'm making this money. I'm making this money, and with that money, I'm saving up, and I'm living like a savage. Like I'm using like baking powder, like brush my teeth and clean things. I'm not, because I'm saving my money, because I'm at an apartment, because I'm trying to buy this house, whatever. So I got the $66,000. I put this money together, and I want to. So it was like I saved $46,000 in like a year and a half off $66,000 a year. So I was not right. If you look at my teeth, like, so my smile is nice here, but if you see my teeth in person, and I didn't realize this until high key last week.
Yeah.
So my dentist was like, "Hey, your teeth, you got like these white streaks on your teeth. What is that?" And I'm over here like, "Oh, well, maybe because I had drank a lot of like it was a bunch of fluoride in the water when I lived there." But I realized, no, it's because I was brushing my teeth with just raw baking soda for a year and a half. That's why some of the enamel on my teeth is gone, because I was literally trying to save every dime. Like I was saving every single dime.
Discipline.
Right. Yeah. I ain't going back there though. So I'm not doing that again. Like them days is over. So paid them. So got the money. And so anyway, I'm at the job, and my contract ends. So understand, I closed on the house. And I'd been in that house for the house that we got married. We closed on the house one week and got married the next week. Right. So 3 months into having this new house and marriage, they cut my contract. So they were like, "Hey, we're getting acquired. Your contract's done." This was after 2 years. I was like, "Dang, okay." And so then I said, "Okay, what am I going to do?" So then 2 weeks later, just so happened, I get a new opportunity to be an HR business partner at a startup. It's like a pharmacy startup.
Wow.
And looked like a dream situation. I mean, my boss was a black man. You know, I got a little raise, so now I'm making $72,000 a year.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Don't tell me nothing, man, please. I got a Buick LaCrosse. I was making money.
That's hilarious.
So a month and a half later, after the CEO that put a knife to my boss's neck, called us apes, all kinds of crazy race.
Wait, like literally?
Oh no, literally. So, literally, the CEO put a knife to my boss's neck.
Whoa. And
he literally called me and my boss apes. After him, he was harassing me. You know, this man was trying to have guns. And crazy. It was again, it's a startup, right? So it's like, you know, it's just a bunch of guys with money. They don't really know anything about business, so they just acting crazy. So after that, they offered me. They were like, "Look, we'll give you, what was it? It was like, we'll give you $30,000. You sign away your civil rights. You can't say nothing about this." And I was like, "Nah, I'm not signing away nothing."
Right.
And so then I quit. And so for like a handful of months, I'm just like not working nowhere. I'm super depressed. I'm upset. And so then out of nowhere, this black woman, who is a friend of mine, her name is Tiffany. We were just on LinkedIn, and she put me down. She referred me for a job at Accenture. And so like I basically had a gap of like 3 months where I just wasn't working. I was freelancing, I was doing whatever, but I wasn't working for anybody. And so for like 3 months, and then like I said, my later to this day, I tell her like she changed my life. Again, just another example of a black woman who didn't even really know me like that. But she knew that like I was sincere, I was authentic, and I was trying to like, she knew that I was married and like, you know, whatever. Like I told her my story, and she was like, "You know what, like you're smart, like you could just do this." And so put me down with Accenture, and I was at Accenture for like almost 2 years. Went from Accenture to another consulting firm called Capgemini.
Yep.
Then went from Capgemini to another consulting firm called PwC.
Yep.
And now I recently quit PwC, wrote a beautiful resignation letter. I mean, y'all.
Okay, give us the tea. Like, what was it? What was all in there? Did you
There
get
was some stuff in that.
you got detailed?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Oh yes, ma'am. No, so you got so remember, like, my background is human resources. So I documentation is important, right? Like I
right.
document everything. And I would just, as to your listeners, not to try to tell like I'm about to tell black men what to do, but I'm saying it's important to document
Everything.
just everything. Yeah. Document it because white folks love the written word, except when it calls them wrong. But I'm saying, like, they don't argue with that. They don't argue with documentation. It's like, no, you said this. I've got it right here. Recordings, whatever. So anyway, I had the details. Wrote the resignation letters. Beautiful, beautiful resignation letters. Beautiful gowns.
You got to send that to us in the email.
I will. It's fine. I don't care.
Like,
yeah, it's good.
You can create a template from it or something.
Right.
You should. I will. You should, and I will. I will send it to you as soon as we wrap this up. So anyway, I joined Momentive, which was known at the time as SurveyMonkey. That was a month ago, working with Antoine Andrews, and who's the chief diversity officer, and then working with Xander Lurie, who's the CEO. And so I've been really focused on diversity, equity, inclusion, right, for like the past several years, right? Like when you think about even like pretty much from my time from Capgemini onward, there's been diversity, equity, and inclusion focused in my role. And so, I know you said like we're going to talk about living corporate later. What I'm really just thankful to God for is that I'm able to exercise and walk in my purpose in all the things that I do. Right. Yeah. So it's not like I have like this over here, then I got my real thing over here. Like I just do what I do and it all comes together.
It's all integrated.
Yeah. That's awesome. I want to talk a little bit about some of the experiences that you had that really triggered living corporate. Specifically, maybe there's some situations, there are things that you realized.
Yeah.
Because I know that for us, starting Bold Black Girls was based on some experiences that took place, and we felt like people were asking us to have this conversation that we were like, wait, everybody's going through the same stuff, and people, we didn't have a platform. So it was like, well, we're just going to talk about the stuff, on a podcast. So there were things that triggered, certain things that we did as well. So.
Yeah. I talked about a little bit of it. It's just like, you're right. Triggered is the right word. There was some trauma that was involved in like, just kind of looking up and being like, this can't just be my experience. But ultimately I'll say this is everywhere I've gone. And as I look throughout my life, there's been some pattern of, me pushing up against the system and basically me being too young, too black, and too black male, or whatever the system was, and then being harmed because of it, right? So whether it be being called an ape at the job, or which is just a wild example, or somebody putting a monkey on my desk for my birthday and being like, oh, you like, because she likes monkeys. Because white folks love monkeys, right? That's culturally, they love monkeys.
You're right.
But it's true. They love monkeys.
The monkeys. And I was like, no, I don't want to see the monkeys. But
I don't want to see the monkeys. I don't think monkey noises are cool. And so there's a genuine. So some of it is, and so even when I speak to these things, it's not like I think everyone is necessarily trying to harm me, but impact and intention, it doesn't matter, right? So. Somebody putting a monkey on my desk for my birthday and being like, yo, because I like monkeys. So, that's me trying to.
And you're just not aware, because you would not do that to me if you had any kind of knowledge.
Any kind of knowledge or self-awareness or historical context or anything wrong with you. Or being like, or asking me like, am I in a gang?
Oh my God.
Asking me, did I graduate from high school? Do I have a GED? Why am I here? I'm overdressing. I'm dressing too intelligently.
I got that one all the time. You
right
coming in looking cute.
This is
right.
You doing too much. Don't tell me what I'm doing.
That's a lot of trauma.
It
is. And so first of all, here's the thing about it is that I'm a big man. I'm like 6'2", 280. So like when I walk in, it's like, I just think that it's like it's a lot to be like. And for context, like I have like big feet, like I have big hands. I'm just a big guy. Like I'm a big man. I'm for real. Like because my wife and I laugh about it. It's like, what's up? She's like, Zach, you are so much bigger than me. My wife is like 5'6", And so we talk about all the time. It's like, man, like, okay. So I come in and it's like I'm a large person, and then I'm also like dressing well. This is before the panty, like large person dressing well. So I think, people just project a lot, right? So anyway,
Yes.
or like, man, you're so articulate. Somebody asked me if somebody asked me if my parents were black because the way that I talk, it seems like I was adopted. I said,
Oh my gosh. I'm the audacity.
Can we pause?
The audacity is the part that I can't get with.
Yeah. So all of these are really like microaggressions and whatnot.
Micro and macro.
Yes, exactly. As Black people, right? I've been reading articles where they said that over 90% of Black workers do not want to go back into the office because of that type of experience, right?
Correct.
And
yes.
the company that I work for, and what they actually offered group counseling for us. Like, because that's toxic and trauma, do you feel like you've healed from that and that you got help?
What a kind question. I've had to pursue my own therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm in therapy now. Yeah, I'm in therapy now, just trying to figure out, thank God, like my environment and my context is so much more healthy right now. But like transparently, like what I've been talking to my therapist about, like my concern is like, okay, it's very scary how things are, how I'm okay now, but I was just like in a really dark place, a handful of months ago, a year ago,
Right.
and I just want to make sure, like I have a diverse toolkit to respond to traumatic situations in the future. And it may also mean just excusing myself from things in the future. And I'm also fine with that too. I think part of it is with Black folks in general, and certainly Black men, it's part of like just why patriarchy needs to be dismantled. And like Black men need to create and understand what their identity is outside of patriarchy, which is like a different conversation for another day. But I'm just saying the reason I bring that up is because
go there though.
Yes.
Yeah, go there.
Well, just because like there's this idea that like Black men, we just have to and Black people, this I'll be clear, this is not just a Black male thing, but Black people that we just have to just push through everything.
Yes.
We gotta just struggle through it all. And it's like, not really though. Like not really. You actually don't. And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to say, you know what, this is unreasonable and I'm not going to subject myself to this abuse. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's one thing in the past is like, and again, I shout out my wife again. Her name is Candace. Candace would tell me like, she's like, look, you don't have to do this. Like, you don't have to work in these jobs. Like, you could do something else. But I took it as I'm being weak if I look for something else. If I take a lower salary, then I'm not providing and I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. And the reality is, it's like, provision contextually is about more than finances. It's about, emotional, spiritual, like physical presence. And, it's not just because like, what's the point? You making X amount of dollars, but you dead.
Inside.
You down on the inside. You might be down on the outside too.
Yep. And you
so it's like, what
anybody else if you're down.
Correct. So yeah, you're right. It's a lot of trauma. But anyway, the point is and to that point, I just looked up and I realized it was like a couple years ago. I said, because I'm turning 32 this year. So a couple years ago, I said, you know what? I'm about to be 30. What does it look like? Like, I'm not the only person with this profile. Like, I'm not the only person who has these challenges. I'm not the only person who's a first generation college graduate. I'm not the only person who's a second generation reader. My dad taught my grandfather how to read. There's plenty of these profiles from the South and across America. What does it look like to create a platform, that tells our stories and it has frank conversations? Because, like this DEI stuff, diversity, equity, inclusion, typically, I don't know, maybe I don't know, what's the word? Y'all don't be cussing on y'all platform, right?
You can cuss.
No, I'm not gonna cuss. I'm not gonna do that because my mom might listen. But it'd be some skullduggery going on though. It'd be some nonsense though. It'd be some like it's some like basically chimp shenanigans, right? Like what they do, and they think that
tomfoolery.
But so here's what it is that these platforms, like when they say, oh, we have an employee resource group, or we have this, or we have that, all of that stuff, it's really meant to like de-niggify niggas. Like it's meant to like make sure that it's meant to push assimilation. It's not meant to accentuate blackness or accentuate whatever your culture is, accentuate anything. It's meant for you to go and be black over there.
But this way.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you come back over here, you talk like this. Right. It's not. And so it becomes less about challenging systems and more about like kind of just going along and getting along. And so when you have questions, or you have, when you say, okay, what's the point of this group? People be like, oh, well, it's to, share and vent. And I was like, right. But like, what if I have like a racist manager and I need them to be held accountable?
Exactly. Where does the action come into play?
What's up?
Who's bold enough to actually do? Who needs to actually do what needs to get done? Or am I going to continue to, because that's something that I experience over time. I have to advocate hard, like for myself repeatedly over and over with the receipts and everything. And it's still somebody don't have the backbone to actually stand up for what needs to happen. And then at the end, I'm like,
and it's hard, right? It's hard for me to like, because on one hand, I really get like, I have a genuine disdain for those who are skin folk, and they're in these positions who should be bold and should be advocating, and they don't. At the same time, I try to be gracious because I'm like, okay, we're all trying to survive and we got to figure it out. But my thing is, you're in that position. If you weren't in that position, I wouldn't be coming at you. But you're in that position. Like, it's your job, right? But like so many of us, sadly, we get in these positions and we just kind of like, we try to figure out ways that we can, manipulate it so we can get what we need. We're not really necessarily thinking about the person at the bottom who might be struggling or needs actual help. And it's not about they need to learn how to type better or do Excel better or pull up their pants. They are in abusive situations, traumatic situations at work, and they need an advocate. Right? Yeah. And so for me, I just got tired of like, asking the same questions and getting the same nonsense responses. And so I just said, you know what? I'm just going to create my own thing that's not bought by anybody. And I'm going to just say what I want to say. You know what I mean? And like, and I'm going to create a network, and because there's other people who feel like me, and I'm going to give them space. I'm going to front everything. I'll pay for everything, but I'm going to empower them so they can have their own platforms and they can say and speak against systems too. And so like when you look at Living Corporate now, it's not just a single podcast. We have all these other podcasts. We have web shows. We have blogs. We have white papers, whatever. And it's all the kind of, not the Zach show. It's genuinely a network because like we're trying to create like, we're trying to really center and amplify voices. And when we'll bring on white people to live in corporate too. Like, don't sleep. Like, if you look, we've talked to white CEOs and I've been like, so talk to me about like, what are you doing that's actually different? Like, we challenge them in real time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like, I'm proud of that.
How do you, first of all, how much time in a day do you have to do all this? Because every day I look up and I'm like, Zach's in the newsletters. Zach got 5,000 podcasts going on. Like, are you actually producing, editing, and all that? Because I know there's certain ones that you have there you're not in, right? So are you doing that?
Yeah. So I, by the grace of God, I don't touch anything. I want to be clear. Like, I have an operations manager who does all of that. Okay. But I think the question behind your question is like, Living Corporate produces all the content, right? So I might have a contributor who sends in their audio or who do this and that and third, but it's all getting produced by Living Corporate. Wow. Zachary, the individual, is not doing it. Shout out to Aaron DiCaprio. He's the only white person on part of our company, and I call him our diversity hire.
I love it.
He is great. Aaron is super cold. He does, man. He's gonna hear this. He's gonna be like, okay, so when you give me that raise, like he's been killing though. But yeah. So to your question around, like, I delegate a lot. I'm just so thankful. I mean, if you listen to Living Corporate, like the Tuesday shows that I do, you'll hear me say a lot that I'm thankful, and it sounds so repetitive, but it's true because it's a blessing to have a vision and a passion around something and then have a bunch of people who are willing to like pick up and labor with you and willing to contribute and work with you. And so like, I'm just, I could cry like just thinking about how much work, how much content we're putting out on a daily basis. And we have another feature that's coming up in a major business magazine here in like a couple weeks, talking about our Pfizer mobilization and our content series that was a paid, like that was an actual campaign, partnership campaign that we did. So I think about just all of that. But yeah, no, I'm telling you, I probably put in about, at this point, because the team is so big and Aaron's role has grown so much, I'm probably putting in about maybe 15, 20 hours a week.
Okay. On top of a regular job, on top of being a dad and a husband.
But it used to be crazy. It used to be way more. And like, I just realized, hey, this is not sustainable. Like I can't, like I was, and let me say this, I'll say maybe 10.
Okay.
Which is still, I recognize a lot, which I still recognize as a lot. But before I was putting in about 35, 40 hours a week. So like, I'm really proud of how I've scaled back. And even like now focused on like partnerships, business, and scale. Whereas before I was focused on like, let me make sure this is loaded into the thing, and I gotta edit this and the website that and the social media. I don't touch any of that anymore. So I'm really super happy about that.
We will be talking after this.
This is awesome.
we will be talking after this.
Okay.
Get some consulting.
So right. So you've talked about DEI and how this led you to pretty much start living corporate, right? For those who don't know about living corporate, can you kind of just highlight what that is?
Some of the different things you got on there?
Sure. So like living corporate, like think about it like it's a network. So just like you have Showtime, you go to Showtime and you got like different shows on Showtime. They have sports, they have comedy, they have box, whatever. They have late night talk shows. Living corporate, like our vision, our dream is to be similar, right? So we are a media network, and so we create podcasts. So we have podcasts, blogs, and web series. So I'll start with the podcasts. So we have several podcast series, and then we have different podcast shows. So we have Living Corporate, which is our flagship, and on Living Corporate, you have Real Talk Tuesdays. That's me. That's going to be me. Okay. And then Shanisha White. So me and Shanisha, we share time. Shanisha is a pharmacist, actually. She's brilliant, like phenomenal woman. Great partner, Shanisha. And so we share that time. But you're mostly going to hear me on Tuesdays. Then on Wednesdays, you're going to hear the Tap In with. You're going to hear the See It to Be It series with Amy C. Waniger. And that's going to be like technical conversations with Black and brown professionals where you really got to hear, oh, this is a such and such is like a statistician, or, it's like, so you basically like, you can't be what you can't see. So, she's spotlighting Black and brown people in these very like complex technical roles. And she's talking to them about how their job works, which is really cool. Then on Thursday. So yeah.
I like that.
Love it.
Yeah. I'm excited about that. And then on Thursdays we have Tap In with Tristan. Tap In with Tristan. Those are like blurbs, like, talking about 2 minutes, 3 minutes tops, career advice, netting, LinkedIn, finding a new job in the middle of the panoramic, whatever.
We had Tristan,
right?
Black Girls podcast as well.
Tristan is so cool. He's so faithful and consistent and mature. We do, like, to your point around like this whole thing around changing the narrative. There is this narrative that like we're lazy or flaky and stuff. I love Tristan. I can't gush about him enough because he from the jump. I say, yo, I got this thing. Like, I'm trying to figure this out. You trying to be on? And he was like, absolutely. And like, he told me it's blessed him. Like, yeah. So yeah. And so then after that, we also do, we also have been introducing, like, we'll pull in the web series, but anyway, we'll talk about that in a second. So that's Living Corporate. That's the flagship show. Boom. Yeah. 2. Then we got the Leadership Range. The Leadership Range is a podcast, airs every Monday, and it's focused on executive leadership. And it really explores Blackness, but it's from this context of an executive leadership coach, right? And his name is Neil Edwards. And he's like one of the most like certified, learned executive coaches in the world.
I heard him on one of them a while ago when he was specifically talking about how Black men need coaches that are Black men as well, right? It was just a whole, he just went in and I was like, whoa. Like I shared that with a bunch of people. He's good.
Yo, he is cold. He's cold. And and he's also he's a Black Islander, he's Black Caribbean, so like he has his voice, his swag is different. It's a completely different, it's a switch up from our other content. So he's phenomenal. Then we have another show that also that publishes on Monday called Liberated Love Notes. Liberated Love Notes is hosted by Brittany Janae Harris. And Brittany she's a DEI executive, but Liberated Love Notes is really focused on rejecting internalized oppression, rejecting white supremacist systems, and really like affirming your Blackness, affirming your own identity. And that is almost kind of like, I would kind of compare that to like drinking a nice cup of tea in the morning as you start your day. It's like, it's cleansing, it feels good, you feel it throughout your body. Like it's a different speed and pace, even from the leadership range, because it's not necessarily talking to you about how to go make, career or how to do a job. It's more about identity and purpose and
how to thrive.
and self and healing straight up. So those are our three podcasts, and it's interesting to watch them.
Hey, Emery.
It's interesting to watch them all grow. Oh man, that's so funny. She just ran in here and she laughing too. So anyway, it's been great to watch them all grow. So then we have our web series. So we have three of those. So we have the group chat. So the group chat is like a live web show, and it's focused on like real conversations that they're not gonna let you have at work. I'll give you an example. We did this one, and it was called "When I Found Out I Was a Karen." All right?
Oh Lord!
When I found out I was a Karen, and the panelists were all white women, and they were all talking about how they're complacent and how they've been historically complicit in white supremacy in the workplace. And so it was very uncomfortable to them. It was very entertaining to me. I want to be clear. I really enjoyed myself. And
wow.
I was in the audience. I wasn't going to participate, but the host was a Black woman, Nubiana. Shout out to Nubiana. But yeah, and shout out to the panelists as well. Like we had a really good time. We were talking about really like the role that white women play in oppressive systems and what does allyship really look like from white women? Like so many times we talk about white men, and let's not get it off. Like foot is still on y'all's neck. Y'all messing up. We gonna get y'all. But also white women are also in on the hustle too. And they don't really catch all the flack that they should when it comes to like how they hurt us and how they have harmed us, particularly Black women. So then, so that's one show, the group chat. Then we have another show called The Access Point. The Access Point is focused on preparing Black and brown college-age students and young professionals for the workplace. So that's more like giving you that real talk. Think about like if your uncle pulled you aside.
Yes.
Right. Gave you some real toxic advice, but it was true. It was true. Just toxic. Maybe take a little bit of toxic off. But you don't know how because he's from a different time. Maybe he drank a little too much, whatever. I don't know. So think about it like that. That's the Access Point, healthier version of your uncle giving you the real talk before you go off and do what you got to do.
I need to add some folks to that. I just had some conversations this week with people who were, it's that 21, 22 years.
Yes.
Her daughter's 22.
One.
Okay. All right.
Wow.
So
I say this platonically for real. You look incredible. You have a 21-year-old daughter?
I did start young, Zach, but yes, 20 years at a company and a 21-year-old.
Do y'all record these? Do y'all air these videos?
And she's younger than me.
What?
Yes.
Where is Candace at? I'm gonna bring Candace in here. Let me screenshot this.
Well,
way back.
In the Access Point, listen.
Goodness.
I literally was talking to the interns, particularly the ones that look like me of my hue, right?
Yes.
Advice, right? And they were looking for that. And like my daughter is now at she's at an internship and she's like, Mommy, I don't have that.
At a tech company.
Exactly. And so we have to help the next generation and give them that advice that's going to be relevant and relative, but not in a toxic form.
Right.
Like, girl, you shouldn't wear your hair like that. Like, no, because I remember
they be trying to get you, assimilate you early.
Yes.
So what
Right, right.
because I'll get calls from young women a lot of times. They just want to talk. Even our interns at my company, and when they see a black, they like, wait, where we at? Hey, so they'll just put some on my calendar, and I always tell them like, I'm proud of you for getting, where you've gotten at this point. You've done the work, and it's amazing. You need to understand where you're walking into, and don't be ashamed of anything. That bring your whole full
Affirm
every
them.
piece
Come on
of
now.
yourself.
They have to be affirmed.
Because we are
Amen.
denying the world of what they should be experiencing when we take away our own blackness before
Come on.
anybody says anything. My
Come
purpose,
on.
your purpose, is to walk in your fullness. If you don't, and I try to copy what you're doing, I'm denying you. You should be experiencing a full black woman. So you say, oh, I know a black woman. I've been around a black woman. You're not going off of this fake thing that I created just to
Right.
make you comfortable. So I love that.
I did too.
So we definitely gonna be giving some people.
Yes.
So, and shout out to y'all because that's so. I think, man, that's so beautiful because I was looking on Twitter, and I was something, but I think I tweeted something or I saw something. I can't, but basically like this idea of just being authentic, like and being yourself, being fully yourself in all spaces. Like you owe that. No, it's not even like, yes, you owe it to whatever, but you owe it to yourself.
Yes.
Right, like you're harming yourself when you're not being authentic, when you're not walking in the fullness of who God created you to be.
Oh, come on.
Yes.
Like you're not, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, look, I
know.
ain't got my little hoop, I ain't got my little hoop track. But
yes, we love it. We'll take
it. But nah, you gotta really, it's important. Like you gotta be yourself. So yeah, so the access point. So to that point though, like you're right. Hold on, let me see if I got it. Oh, there it is. I found it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So anyway,
That was us.
I know. I need
no
to.
But the access point, the access point is it's not that. It's not respectability politics. It is very much so about like, it's really like, okay, emotional intelligence, self-awareness, identifying allies, building proper relationships, your first 30 days, being coachable, asking effective questions. It's more like that.
Documenting.
Right? Yeah, effective documentation. That was one of them, straight up. I did the difference between the difference between sponsors, mentors, and coaches, and understanding those differences. Like, so it's the nuanced things that just frankly first generation people, professionals, just aren't gonna know. So then the last one, which is I ain't gonna lie, it's probably like my little favorite right now.
I like it too. I don't know what you got to say.
Yeah, the break room is fire.
The
break room is fire. It's fire because it's hosted by 4 Black psychiatrists. Like they all have, they all are licensed in this space. They've all gone to college. You're talking about like, a professor from Stanford, another research professor from Cal State, another licensed psychiatrist, and then another one who has her PhD in psychiatry and she's a licensed therapist, right? And so they're all talking about mental health, wellness, and healing for Black people at work, and they're being extra Black about it. They cussing, they don't care. I love it's so great.
There's a segment called what is it called?
My last nerve.
It's like the little rant at the end about stuff that gets on their nerves. I love that.
Oh my gosh. And so I'm gonna keep it a bean. Like I typically kind of go like, man, whatever. Like when people say, "Oh, living corporate's great," but I ain't gonna lie. Even I'm impressed myself that I produced out because I was talking to people about it, and I was like, man, I got that straight up from trauma. Like because of my own therapy, I was like, because it was so hard to find a Black therapist.
Yes.
Like finding a Black therapist is hard. And so I was like, man, I've talked to people who like literally are struggling to find a Black therapist right now. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, man, what does it just look like to create a space? And I think also like Black people, we don't even think about mental health, like the impact of our mental at work specifically, like because we just like, oh, this is how white people do it. It's like, no, white supremacy is harmful. Like it creates genuine harm. And so like, what does it look like to create? What does it look like to put this together? And I also like the fact that it's diverse, right? Like there's there's different people represent. It's not just gender diverse, but people are very across the spectrum of even belief, but also sexual orientation, right? So you're gonna get just very diverse points of view, all while it's rooted in love and it's rooted in the fact that we have to take care of one another. So look, I know I went on. You asked me to describe the network, so hopefully I didn't go too long.
That was
But
perfect,
Yes.
because that's what we wanted to highlight. I think you, even in describing the different things that you have, it's exactly what everybody needs to hear, because these are the areas that we talk about, like,
and it all
the time.
connects.
Exactly. I had my therapy session today, and she said, because I was telling her about some stuff, and she said, you have been at such a high level of stress for so long that you think that is normal.
You're just functioning.
And I was like, whoa. Like, she was making me realize things that I don't, and I can have that Black conversation with her as another Black woman. She gets it. I don't have to go through this whole explanation. So I'm with it because I just love to have a place where it's not just therapy for Black girls. It's the break room. It's whatever area that's going to give me some of that, Black healing. I'm here for it. So I love it. And we love what you're doing over at Living Corporate. What can we do to support Living Corporate?
What you're doing?
Oh, you know what? Yo, like, just check out Living Corporate. Like, for real, Google it, click something, check out our podcast, give us 5 stars. Say it again.
Share it.
Yeah. We got merch. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I saw some of y'all stuff. Yes, I like it.
And I actually, you know what? Look, because I love y'all, I got a code just for y'all. I'm gonna give just to y'all. Y'all can get some free stuff on me.
Okay.
All right, I got y'all.
Sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll email y'all, but don't share the code though, for real.
We won't share it.
The code is by all the Bold Black Girl listeners. We wouldn't do that. But no, how can people find you and follow you and support your stuff?
Yeah. If you just search Living Corporate, so if you search Google Living Corporate, will pop up. And then if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's livingcorp_pod. And then if you want to look us up follow us on Instagram, it's Living Corporate. And then you'll see me. You'll see me on there. So I ain't gonna bog y'all down with extra stuff. Just do that.
Yeah.
And you'll find me around the way.
Okay, perfect.
I love it.
Well, we thank you so much for joining us and being our final guest for this series. Again, we want to amplify. Y'all see why we brought them on now. All right. Like, we're not just picking no random. Exactly. We're not picking no randoms. We're picking people that we know are about us and amplifying.
Us.
Exactly. Amplifying not just Black women, us, just period, as a people. So we thank you, and we will be chatting with you soon, because I know this won't be the last time we talk.
Peace, y'all.